Now, cooperative subjects like he's not being uncooperative. He's lying, but he's setting his own trap.
I was making ramen. She was excited about her choir performance coming up. She was singing a little bit. I told her it was pretty. It reminded me of Sister Act. That's why I wanted to show her that movie. Just talking about a crush she had on the boy, but I told her crush on. Get your crush at something.
Do you think, has she...
All right, right there, Wyatt, I'm speaking to you. Why did he do this? I think my motive for this was, what I think the motive was for this was that Maddie was growing out of Stefan Stearns, becoming a teenager, and what he just said right now, get your crush on. Right there, when I heard that and the way he said that and how he's locked up and how he's upset, I've always thought it was a jealousy thing. Whether it was a jealousy thing between Jen Soto and Stefan Stearns, or Stefan Stearns and Maddie and her classmates or boys, I've never thought it was anything other than that. Only for a split second when I heard them talking about pregnancy test or whatever, I was like, wait a minute, why would they say that like 192 over and over and over? But after I heard this and I heard Jen Soto and I heard this narrative of the jealousy, Mama Sage right, and I heard him say crush on right then and there, I was like, he was jealous. He was in love, in my opinion, with Maddie, and he snapped. Coach Complete, what's up, my man? Good to see you. I almost thought that was Deception Detective for a minute. You're a Deception Detective lookalike.
Had any boyfriends in the past?
Not per se, boyfriends, as however they can be early on, but we decided that she was too young, needed to avoid that.
All right, being that she's too young, so she shouldn't be having sex with boys.
She's all the that stuff. None of it counts. It's real. Just thought we should do better off waiting till high school.
Mm-hmm. Has she ever talked to you about boys?
A little bit sometimes.
Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't love, rah, baby. When you have a person like Stefan Stearns, I don't know if he knows what love is. It was control, absolutely. But in his sick mind, I believe, and you see the things, how he is. He's like a child. His mentality didn't change to an adult. It never changed. He wanted to play games and paint and do things and meander around the children. So yeah, love is not a word that we would use as adults, normal adults that have been, that have grown up and are mature. That's not love, what he was doing to Maddie by any means. Am I saying that?
Has she ever, because I asked Jennifer the same thing, has she ever disclosed to you about being sexually active with boys?
No.
She's never been sexually active with anybody in the past?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
I heard there was some sort of incident when she was much younger where she did something with the phone.
When she was much younger, I started is what he meant to say. Yeah, he is revolting and disgusting, and there's not a word for him that I could even say without YouTube saying don't say that. But it's really infatuation, twisted infatuation, whatever it is. We can say all of those things because it's not anything that we can understand. And at some point, I'm going to introduce you to the Mandu channel, and you're going to just be like, you're going to watch it and get stuck watching it, and you're going to see how many people there are out there like this. I always say the world is ran by people like this. It's not uncommon. It's terrible.
Her camera, but got scolded where she was very young. She didn't know. She got scolded for it though. But it's vague. It's just remembering what someone said offhand.
Young girls can get crushes on older men. Did you ever get that vibe from Maddie? You told us that anecdote about Maddie taking inappropriate photos. Do you think that's the only time she ever did that? I can only imagine what it's like to be in your shoes, to be on so much medication, so anxious. I'm sure you do things sometimes that you don't even mean to. These are examples of FBI-style blame shifting. Unsettling to say, but they could have pushed Stefan to open up. After all, he already admitted to cuddling in bed with Madeline earlier in this interview. But these detectives aren't using that tactic. They aren't shifting blame, minimizing Stefan's actions, or rationalizing them the way the FBI did with Chris Watts. Instead, they're trying to corner Stefan by pressing him on his timeline and inconsistencies. But would they have been better off using the FBI's approach? I'll address that the next time we pause.
What happened to your hand?
Flat tire. I'm going to change the flat tire in about 10 years. I made a rookie mistake and had my thumb too close to where the jack and the frame meet, and it slipped, and the frame came down on my thumb and pinned it between the jack, which I feel like I got off surprisingly light with that.
Ouch.
I yanked it free. I'm not supposed to do that. It's okay. Just got the worst of it. It's bruising under the nail.
What about the other scratches?
Courtesy of a janky tire iron and the road.
Did you bleed at all?
Yeah, this one had some blood and this one had some blood, but not much. It clotted fast.
Now remember, he also had scratch marks on him and little tiny like scabs that you could tell happened from however many days ago once it starts to scab over. So, Emma Joy, you say flat tire. Can you use that in a sentence, sir? Right. Fragmented sentences. I was just reading that card. Pay attention to what he's doing and the verbiage he's using. And he uses the same thing over and over. Yeah, janky, Jen's a gypsy. He keeps using that word. And I have a feeling that's what he tries to be cool with. Because if you notice, he tries to be cool and the smartest person in the room, right? I found your Duty Ron. I found you from Duty Ron Lover Channel. Come in late, and we'll go find Duty Ron right after this. You see what I did?
Think that's the only time she ever did that? I can only imagine what it's like to be in your shoes, to be on so much medication, so anxious. I'm sure you do things sometimes that you don't even mean to. These are examples of FBI-style blame shifting, unsettling to say, but they could have pushed Stefan to open up. After all, he already admitted to cuddling in bed with Madeline earlier in this interview. But these detectives aren't used.
Way floppier and then just completely freaking separated. Like how we had a spare and a jack. Jinky as it was.
So typically when changing the tire and stuff, you tend to get brake dust and dirty and all that.
Yeah,
Did you happen to,
positive that I breathed in some freaking brake dust or tire dust or something because I was coughing the rest of the afternoon.
what'd you end up doing to clean up or stop the bleeding and stuff?
Nothing, actually. Just
Yeah,
went
get
home
you dirty.
and washed my hands and that was it.
Your clothes get all messed up and all, or
Not bad. Surprisingly.
Now, if Ron was in here, I'm sure he would tell you that those things they're talking about are probably referring to wanting to know if he got dirty from the crime scene from what he did, if he needed to change his clothes. They wanted to get at, oh, you changed your clothes? What'd you do with those clothes? Are you dirty from changing the tire? No, I'm just dirty. He should have said that. However, I know what they were getting at. I think we all know when we pay attention what they're getting at because they want to find those clothes that have maybe fluids or blood or something on them from that